Welcome back to part B of God's Mind on Family. Once again, my name is Reverend Jane Wambua, host of Family Life Show. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for staying on. Thank you for great wisdom that you gave us in part A. Now we want to dig in deeper into this issue of God's mind on family. My one question is, what's the role of a family in a society? Reverend Osaka, Reverend.
Thank you.
Yes.
A society, maybe a small description that does not necessarily follow any pattern,
Yes.
is that a society is a group of people who live together and are guided by certain rules, written or otherwise.
Yes.
So for us to be able to carry out these rules and make sure, especially the unwritten rules and regulations, they have to be taught in the family.
Yes.
So that when the children are taught in a family and the father sets pace, because he comes and says, this is what society expects of us, that we are supposed to behave this way, we are supposed to, these are our mannerisms, this is how we are supposed to work hard, this is how we are supposed to acquire wealth. He comes and gives those guidelines to the family.
Yes.
So if every parent, if every man gives those directions, then when society comes and meets at the marketplace, there are no chaos.
True.
We have direction.
Yes.
In the road, people behave better. Because we are trying to substitute this by coming up with very many rules and laws and regulations, and they are still not working. But had we been taught in the family, this is what is expected of you. When an adult is in the room, you give them the first seat. Where you are supposed to, this is how you're supposed to respond to adults. This is how you're supposed, so they carry it out even in their professions. We may change the terminologies we use, but the behavior is the same. We might call it a constitution, but we are giving guidelines. We are saying, if Reverend Osaka's farm ends here and mine starts here, I'm not supposed to go beyond that boundary. And I respect that because I was taught from the family level. So when I come to the society level, I will adhere to those.
True.
Yes, so it sets the pace for how society is going to behave, how it's going to be governed, what is expected of every member of society.
Is it right to say that a broken family or a family that has violated God's role is a doorway to chaos in society? Is it right to address it like that?
Well, I think, and it is quite evident in the society we are living today, to notice that perhaps most of the chaos we are witnessing today is by the virtue of people taking the equation of God, rather replacing the position of God. And as Reverend Peter was putting it earlier, you find that whatever happens in a given family is the reflection of what a society will be.
Yes.
The values you teach your children in the house as parents, those are the same values that they're going to execute
Very true.
or actualize when they get outside.
Very true.
And when you look at the foundation, or rather the building block to which a society is built on, is on the family values. For example, if I say the Peters, they embrace the idea of you don't really have to respect the elders. And when they go outside there, they meet the teachers, they talk to the teachers the same way they want. And if they come to my place and the Osakas, the values that we uphold is that you talk back to the elderly.
Yes.
When they go to the school, they talk back to the teachers. So you find that the society is chaotic from the foundation of what we witness in the family. But on the contrary, you will realize that the moment I uphold virtues and values in my family will go out there and extend the same.
The same.
So the chaos we are witnessing around in our society today, perhaps they are what are happening in our households. Pale kwetu nyumbani, majirani.
Yes.
When you go to your neighbors, when you look at your neighbors, you'll go to the neighborhood where you stay.
Yes.
Your neighborhood will be defined with what is happening in one particular family. For example, if you remember, sometimes back, they say when you, sorry for those who are coming from those of neighborhood, when you are brought up in Jericho, the Mbotela way, they used to raise up gangs.
Yeah.
And in the cool measure, they used to raise up scholars. Majority of people are staying in those leafy suburbs today. They are the determined small cluster of kids that came from families that upheld the values.
Very true.
But the definition of Eastland's resident settlements, Kitambo ilikuwa chaos.
It is true.
And when you come from there, you live there, I'm not coming to visit you. You get because of the values they
You
used
are
to
assured
uphold.
of gangsters.
Yes.
You are assured
Yes.
of being bullied.
Yes. Even back there at home,
Yes.
we used to hear that when you're coming from this particular village, they are known for ban. You get
No.
the young men and the young women from those particular villages, or rather clan, they were sophisticatedly known for that particular behavior. Why? It is that value, the families that were
How families were, how
Yes.
were raised
Yes, were raised.
in that area.
Yes.
Very true.
But then again, as much as the society that is Eastlands was like that,
Yes,
it also depended on each family.
absolutely.
you.
I'll tell you, I grew up in Eastlands myself. I grew up in Eastlands, and I'm sure I turned
That is
out
now
well.
the small cluster.
We can
So-
see
and
the fruits.
now the family in the broader society is like an organization. The society is an organization, but with every organization, you divide it into smaller units for ease of management and supervision. So when there is that family and that smaller unit, it's easier to supervise. When you have 2 or 3 children and one wife and one husband and 3 children, it's easier to supervise and ensure that things are being done well there. So that if I am managing my unit well, you're managing your unit well, you're managing your unit well. When we meet outside there, that organization, there's synergy in that organization. We are flowing towards one goal, doing different things, but towards one goal, and we are moving together at the same pace. We are all in agreement without even necessarily deciding that this is what you're supposed to do. But there is that synergy because there is ease of management. You can manage 2 or 3 people, you can manage 5 people. But if we are trying to have one person managing the whole society and there is chaos down here, we will be realizing, we'll be seeing what we are seeing.
Yes,
Because now I'll
very
make sure my children, they do not steal, they are not disrespectful.
Don't
Then
drain.
if everybody does that in their family, we won't have thieves in society.
Very true.
We won't have corruption in
I
society.
would also want to add in that. Interesting. I stayed in Jericho for a few years.
Okay.
I actually brought up Michelle in Jericho.
Okay.
But what I did for her now or for me, I segregated ourselves from the normal, the wave of the society.
Yes.
And I pushed in myself more into church. So the craze didn't touch me. The gangs that were there, crazy gangs, crazy boys, crazy girls. There's a lot of marriages, neighbor to neighbors. And one thing that is serious about what you're talking about, you'd find this one, Akinyi gets married to Kamau today. They stick 2 years. They don't want each other. She gets to Motiso next 2 years. So Akinyi has a Kamau, a Motiso, and polyandry. What we call polyandry. And I decided in the midst of all this chaos, we are coming out clean.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can raise a family.
It's a decision. Yes.
It's a decision
Yes.
where you are. Decide where your family
Yes.
is headed.
True.
And it will come out as one of the, you call them what, clusters. One of the people that will come out strong. In Jericho, in East France, there are two types of people, but they are foundations.
Yeah, and the extremists.
Extremists, totally. Totally extremists. So there's a good seed and a bad seed. But what are we saying? The genesis is the mother and the father. If the mother and the father is sound, then they will bring forth good children. Yes. And they will not be able to be taken away by the wave of the society. Yes. So we are saying that society is God's mind on society. He was forming groups of good families to join up into a sound society. That's why we have neighborhoods that are very sound, especially if neighborhoods that embraced God and came together as neighborhoods and agreed to raise their children the God's way. We see those neighborhoods are peaceful.
And can we say that, you see, the long days we are talking about some neighborhood having characters that are so questionable. You can clearly tell that there was a link of a misfit, that God was not in the equation.
He was not.
Like for instance, for right now, when you go to those questionable residential areas, rather neighborhood, now when you step into those places, you will find churches are all over. And a church represents the presence of God. And the moment there is a presence of God, you find that things begin just to turn around. Things just begin to beautify. And you a name, something that was so badly known to be chaotic, just with the gradual process, it turns out to be beautiful. Right now, when you go to Eastlands, you can walk whatever the time you want to walk. But sometimes back, you wouldn't even by 4. You are done.
Your handbag is in the paper bag because you might meet somebody.
Yes, but currently, because God has been brought into, we have acknowledged God in our society. You tend to find that the characters have been changing. People have been transformed. People have been rehabilitated, and things are now working for good for them that love God.
Yes, they are. For them that love the Lord. I agree with you. There's a lot of security. But we can see the extremes, as you're saying. And the birth of that violation of God's law in marriage is what is bringing us the chaos we have today. Like when you Google, you find that there are 7 types of marriages. Crazy, 7 types of marriages. Polyandry, a woman having multiple husbands. What do you think about that? One woman, multiple husbands.
Ungodly.
Okay, I'm used to one man, multiple has one man, many wives. But now there's one type of marriage that is happening in society today. One woman, multiple husbands. How does that work?
Let me put it like this. You see, every action originates from your mind.
Yes.
And through your mind to your heart. And through your heart to the action. So, the Bible says that God is holy.
Yes, He is.
And He's the one that renews our mind. He renews our mindset. So, the moment you witness a scenario whereby Akinyi is marrying Kamau, is marrying Mutiso. At the same time, he has a husband called Onyango. You know? It is chaotic.
Very chaotic.
And that one tells you, Rev, there is a problem with Akinyi's mindset. There is a problem with the purity of Akinyi's heart. Sorry, Akinyi to be disclaimer.
Yes,
like the Wanjiru.
Yes.
Like the
Wanjiko and yes.
Cherono and stuff like that.
Yes.
So when you see such things happening, you clearly see the misfit.
Yes.
God is not in the equation. God is not in the mindset. There is nowhere that we can mention of, because in a normal setup, ukuje hapa jam, and then you find under the teachings that we have received, under the guidelines, under the leadership, the processes that we have gone through, the transformation, the fires, the refining, the purification, the purging. No, you won't find a polyandry in our congregation.
You see, Rev, what is happening in society is that we are trying to look for a solution to the problem using different methods.
Very true.
See, the problem is that maybe there's an underlying disease. So you are looking for paracetamol to deal with the symptoms. You're not using the right antidote to deal with it. So we find that there's a problem in society whereby once you're married, you're supposed to be disciplined. You're supposed to be faithful to your husband. And now, instead of insisting on being faithful to your husband or to your wife, we are saying, now that you are finding it hard to be disciplined, now that you are finding it hard to follow God's law, let's give you room. Let's create what we call polyandry. Let's even create polygamy because you're finding it hard to be disciplined. So we are looking for solutions. That now it's very sad that now we are looking for ways to ensure that even if our children engage in sexual activity, that they don't face the consequences. Instead of sticking to what he said, that do not engage in sex before marriage. If you're married, be faithful to your husband or to your wife. Now we are saying, let's give you some leeway. But if we stuck with the original blueprint of God, that he says, if you're married, be faithful to your husband. We've solved all these problems. We won't have to be looking for polyandry. We won't have to be looking for this exogamy and definitions and saying, why don't we try this to solve this problem? We are trying to solve the problem using different methods. Yet there's a defined method of dealing with that issue. Yes.
God minusing God is chaos. Just that's what we need to tell our people out there. You minus God in your family, you're in chaos.
You're welcome
whether
in chaos.
You like it or not. And what are the results of all these types of marriages? What do you see in society? What is the end result of all these types of marriages? These are comforting. They're trying to comfort their hearts that I'm right. They're trying to fulfill their desires, because God creates us with a vacuum, and this vacuum can only be filled with the opposite sex, which is a man. So the minute you want this void to be filled by another woman, you are lost. And what is the result of all what we are seeing today?
Confusion.
Yes.
That's why we are having it still beats me, especially even between these relationships between the same gender. You'll always find that one looks like, one even if it's two men, one will look and behave like a woman. So I ask myself, why look for a man who looks like a woman? Why not just look for a woman?
Looks like a woman.
It beats logic. So we have chaos where our children are born because your sex is known from birth. When a child is born, we ask, is he male or female? So it is already defined. We already know. So it is us to teach them the roles. That if you are born a boy, this is how you grow up. This is what is expected of you. If you are born a girl, this is what is expected of you. Now we find children, they are not sure, and we have to wait for them to decide if they are either male or female. And so the roles are mixed up, and now we are having fights, we are having chaotics, we are having discussions. Who should be doing this? Who should be doing the other? Instead of when we come together, I already know that when I come, my role is this. If my role is to make sure the seats are clean so that when people come to church, they'll find clean seats. I come and play my role without degrading it or looking at it as being a minor role. And if your role is to preach, you come and preach. I'll make sure the seats are clean. But if we start mixing the roles, we start mixing and trying to look for solutions, we will come, the seats are not clean because I insisted, now I'm the one preaching, and you are the one to clean the seats. Why am I the only one being cleaning the seats? It brings that confusion in society.
very true.
So nothing is getting achieved because we spend so much time trying to solve the confusion. Instead of just going back to the blueprint, doing things the way they ought to be done, and then continuing with our roles, achieving our ultimate goal.
Very true.
Yes.
Then there's a lot of drug abuse.
Yes.
A lot of drug abuse because you have to numb yourself.
True.
You already know you're a woman. So the minute you're going for another woman, they numb themselves. And we find cases of a lot of suicide because especially in the same gender, there's a lot of early premature death because of when you wake up and you numb yourself, a day will come when these drugs will destroy your life. Yes. Again, I understand. There's a time I sat with a girl that was trying to come out of lesbianism. There's a lot of jealousy.
True.
And they kill each other. They destroy each other. Let me not say kill. Destroy each other so much because there's a lot of jealousy. The enemy wasting their lives.
Yes.
Drugs wasting their lives. Having all manner of, their minds, as you're saying, their minds are totally distorted. They no longer know what is what to value in life. And so we have a lot of young men and women being destroyed, destinies being destroyed because of the choices they make towards family. What would you want to add?
Okay, thank you once again, Rev. I believe we are all here and we are all witnessing what is happening in our society.
Yes.
And we can all agree in one accord and say some of these things have been contributed through the exposure to technology.
Very true.
You find that, well, we cannot run away from technology because it is the order of the day. Everything is done technologically. Everything that we run around, they are running on technology. But you see, there is that level of freedom that we have embraced, and we have made it now to look like you can do what you want to do, at whatever the time you want to do it, the way you want to do it, you get. So you find that the original script of God has not been referred to. Because when you remember, as we started, we said that the genesis of family is God.
Very true.
And God was so clear. He made male and female. There was nothing like transgender. It was not in the concept of God. There is nothing like a bisexual.
There's nothing.
It was not created by God. No. These are makeups of men and enhanced by technology. Because when you go to technology, we even have understood some of the types of marriages we never knew even before.
We never knew.
Yeah.
Never heard of such
never heard of
things.
them.
Very true.
But because of the enabling of technology, we've seen the society is embracing things that are so foreign. You get. When you go to school, go to colleges, go to even right now, even the kids in the young pre-primary, they know much about technology, and they grow knowing it, and they explore. The mind has been made to the friend to that setup. Like now, I want to know more. I knew this yesterday. I need to know more than what I knew yesterday. So we find that if we do not manage technology, and take technology as the creation of God, because every concept we have today or we will have in the future, they are the creation of God.
They are.
Yeah. It is the God that gave us the concept.
Very true.
So if we run away from the concept of God, technology is here. Are you aware that the people who are exploring technology today, and they're living right?
Yes, they are. They are not
so
misusing. Yes.
And they're living right.
They are.
They condemn bisexual.
They do.
They condemn one sex marriage. They condemn polyandry. They condemn polygamy.
Yes.
They're top on. Like Reverend Peter here.
Yes.
He just introduced himself like he's in technology.
Yes, he
and he
is.
knows much about technology. And he can dismantle and mantle technologically.
Yes.
But he's living right.
Yes.
So technology
He's
is not-
sound.
He's sound.
Very sound.
Now
yes.
that technology has been mentioned, and my background is technology, I have a right of response. Now, technology is a tool.
Yes.
It's like
It's a
fire.
Yes.
It can destroy, but it can also cook.
Yes.
You can use it rightly. And technology, when a system is right, if you technologize it, it becomes better. When it's faulted, you add technology into it, you destroy it completely.
Yes.
So it has to be right, manually first,
Yes.
before you digitize it. Okay? Now, from what you said, from where you started, research has shown
Yes.
that same-sex marriages are breaking more than even the
Yes.
opposite.
yes.
Than God's
Yes,
way.
God's way.
Yes.
Because it's sort of a patch. The dress is torn. Instead of maybe doing away with it or coming or bringing a new dress, you want to patch it. So when you patch it, that patch sorts of destroys even the part that it was patched on. So you are trying to patch instead of coming up with a new dress. You want to patch it. So we are trying to patch society after we've deviated from the original plan. We are trying to patch it, and giving it, cute names, polyandry, gayism,
Getting it, giving it some place.
some nice names.
Yeah.
So that we try and cleanse it in the eyes of people.
Yeah.
But if it is fault, as the Latin call it, ab initio, it was wrong ab initio, from the foundation. If the foundation is wrong, we cannot clean it later. We just have to go and destroy the foundation, start up with the right foundation. It might take us time, but if we get it right in the foundation, it will be easier to build it going forward. Yes.
So as we come to conclusion, what would your parting shot be to our viewers on God's mind on marriage? I think I love marriage too much. On family. Yes.
Okay, let me put it this way as we close. The mind of God is very clear.
Yeah.
And it can never change. The mind of God indicates that God was ideological when he was concepting about a family. So there is nothing better we can do. There is nothing better we can add beyond what God
Yes.
concepted before. God's concept on marriage, God's mind on family
Yes.
was that there must be order.
Yes.
There must be order. He is a God of order.
Yes, he
And
is.
family can never be disordered when God is in the equation.
Yes.
So if you had taken God out of the equation in your family, the only thing you need to do is to get God back.
Yes.
And you will have it
Yes.
in life.
And he will align. And he will restore.
Yes.
Yes. Rev Peter?
Yes, when we go back, and I'll reiterate that God had an idea. There was something he was trying to achieve.
Yes.
He had a purpose when he created man. It was just not an afterthought. So when he created man, he said, let me give him a helper to achieve what I created him to do. So even when the children come in, they're supposed to be asking themselves, and it starts with the man asking himself, what did God create me to do? What is my purpose? The woman will come to assist him achieve that purpose. So they achieve it together. When the children join in and find that these people are following a particular purpose, when they wake up, purpose consumes you. Because when you have a purpose, when you wake up in the morning, it's what you're thinking. How best do I achieve this purpose? The children will come and join in and find that our parents' purpose in life is to do this, is to do the will of God, is to build this. They come and join in that purpose. So we are all following God's purpose. And then now we go back to the manual every day.
Yes.
Now that I have reached here with the purpose, God, what is next for me? What is next? And so everything fits in my career. What is next in line with my purpose? So even your career fits into your original purpose in life. What is your purpose in life? So everything will fit in, and the whole family will fit in to God's purpose, especially for that particular individual. But they have to keep going. That's why we come to church so many times, and some people even wondering, well, how come you go? We are coming to read the manual again, so that we know from now that I have reached here, what do I do? How do I solve the problems I've encountered? How do I troubleshoot some of the challenges I'm facing?
Wow, it's been great insight. I think we should do more of this, even on God's mind on family.
Yes.
Because you realize that many people don't really have the right concept. We may blame them, we may draw lines upon them, we may judge them, that society is getting rotten by the day. But 90% of these people do not know God's mind on family. So God's mind, our dear listener, our viewers, wherever you're watching us, I want to echo what the man of God has said, Reverend Osaka. God is the author and the finisher of our families. Anything in the middle, you cannot add, you cannot minus God's pattern, you cannot introduce new values. He remains to be God, and only what we can do is to sober up, humble ourselves, and begin to journey back to God's original plan. We've seen chaos, we've seen destruction, we've seen suicides, we've seen so much drug abuse, we've seen people losing values, women and men that had great destinies falling into the hands of same-sex marriage, destroying their lives, ending up in rehabilitation centers, others ending up losing their mind. There are a lot of cases of men losing their mind when they got into the wrong type of marriages. Our cry unto you that is watching us is that you may go back to the original plan of God, know his mind, journey back, and for sure he has done it for us. He's given us soundness. He's helped us to journey in sound marriages and sound families. He also can do it for you. Keep it JBN, keep it Family Life, and until next time, we wish you the blessings of God that maketh rich and addeth no sorrow. Shalom.